Shoprite was founded in 1979 with the purchase of 8 Cape-based supermarkets. Its operating subsidiaries include Checkers, House and Home, OK Furnishers, CompuTicket and Hungry Lion. It has a market cap of 92 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 26 and a dividend yield of 1.9%. Can we really afford to ignore Shoprite? Perhaps that's the overriding question.
Yeah, so it's really been the most successful story of them all. I mean, we should see the 12-month or maybe the better still, hopefully the that doesn't look like the right chart. That looks like one of Shoprite's bonds that might be trading there.
Yes, I think we're going to rectify that in a moment.
Because that chart really looks fantastic. I mean, it goes, you know, it's just sky high, and Whitey Basson has done everything right there. They've been the market leader in terms of, you know, market share that they've won mostly from the likes of Pick n Pay. So people start to worry. You've had a company that's been an absolute rocket ship. Are we perhaps assuming that they can carry on growing? And of course, at that scale, it's got to be a question sooner or later that they can't.
Can they carry on going?
I think they need the African projects to come right. You saw in their earnings a few weeks ago that African sales increased 25%. That was off a very low base though. And can they continue that? And can they have the same success? So I think they do need a bit of growth outside of South Africa to carry on growing at this pace.
We can't have a conversation about Shoprite without discussing Whitey Basson and his ability to lead this company to the next stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Him and Christo Wiese, because Christo Wiese, you know, also got involved right there at the beginning when there were only 8 stores in the Cape.
Has he settled his tax bill?
And they are just making more money. I think the tax bill is the least of his worries, you know. I mean, it's true that SARS wants to question some of his transactions because he's got lots of industrial interests and he's very good at structuring and putting stuff in trusts and all that kind of thing. But look, they were very, very good at both store openings, which means finding new sites to operate from, as well as the distribution model. They were the first to do major distribution centers, which meant that they could professionalize their buying and the palletizing and the warehousing and all of that stuff. Also first into Africa in a big way. So big stores in places like Lusaka, Antananarivo in Madagascar, and you name it. So, you know, they're going to go on growing is my perspective. It's 1 billion or whatever it is people in Africa. It's underrepresented in terms of quality retail. You were saying the other day when you were in Nigeria that you bought a pair of running shoes at the Shoprite. Why? Because
I did.
The alternative was to walk down the street and find somebody on the curbside to buy them from. You know, so
a great pair of running shoes, I must say.
Still using them, I'm sure. So fabulous. What more can you ask for? I think they're going to continue to grow.
Rob, let's look at this. This is only 1 year in terms of Shoprite's share price movement. And as you can see, we've had a pretty, it's not straight line. We've got some volatility there. A little bit of a drop off at the moment we're seeing on the price.
Yes, I think the risk on trade, I think there is a little bit of, even though Paul will say there's not sector rotation, I do think there's some money coming off the table, definitely not selling out of Shoprite. But some people are looking to go into the resources. You can see a bit of a sell-off there. I really like Shoprite still. I do think they'll carry on into Africa and profits still growing. I would like to see it pull back a little bit more, up 38% for the year already. I'd like to see a little bit more of a pullback before I buy some more.
Paul, is the sector rotation we're seeing on the graph?
Yeah, well, look, like I say, people who run billions under management in the institutional environment are quite partial to going a little bit lighter something, going a little bit longer something, and that's where you get your relative outperformance. But look, there's more to Shoprite than just the Shoprite stores. As you mentioned there, they've got things like CompuTicket, Hungry Lion, which is a fast food store. I think they should drop the whole Shoprite name and call the entire group Hungry Lion.
I think that's really got traction.
Anyway, I mean, the long and the short of it is, if you see the most recent trading update or something, I think they're delivering dividend increase of around 18%, because with a group like that that's growing fast, I always look to see what the board does with the dividend, because that's an indication of how much more cash they think they can pay out.
Here's the 3-year share price graph, and I think this is pretty much what we're going to see from all the retailers, is this very nice curve upwards.
Yes, well, I think people also underestimate, I think we've spoken about it before, is how big the South African market is. You know, there's 50 million people in South Africa, and I think people have underestimated just how much buying comes in just from the local side. So, yeah, very stretched if you look at a graph like that, but still producing the revenue, still producing at 20% earnings. So, you know, I don't see it coming down too much.
Paul, hot or not on Shoprite?
Yes, I'm happy to give it the hot because I think, in 10 years' time, they'll be a multiple bigger than they are now, maybe even part of or incorporated into a bigger global group.
Rob, hot or not?
I'm still hot on Shoprite.